Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well.
Listen, I wanted to talk to you about mainly about your 2018 gear. It's in our top 100 again of the world. How do you feel about that, and what makes it such a special wine? How long have you been making it?
Well, first of all, I think this is an amazing recognition. We are extremely proud and extremely happy because of the recognition of the wine. Being in the top 100 wines of the world is, I think, it's an honor, and being part of of a fewer of just a small group of Chilean among them. It is also something that makes us very happy. And also what make us very happy as well is because we believe in organic and biodynamic agriculture as something that the most important thing about that is that give us the quality of the wine that we want to produce. At the end, we see organic and biodynamic agriculture not just a way of producing in a natural way. We see it as something that give us better quality fruit. So at the end, better quality and unique wines. Also, with all the positive impact of this agriculture in terms of nature and of course the people. And talking about here specifically, this is the first wine of Latin America of getting the Demeter certification, which is the certification of biodynamic wines. And the first vintage we released of this wine was in 2003. And it has been a long time understanding the farm, understanding the place where this wine come from. And like I told you before, it is quite an honor for us that after some years of producing this wine and believing him, have this kind of recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the first vintage was 2003. Has it changed quite a bit since then? Was it always majority Syrah? How did you do you know how the idea for the blend was started?
The grapes of this wine are grown in a place called Los Robles Estate in Colchagua Valley. And the idea of this wine was to have the better varieties of the place and to make a blend of them. The base have been always made of mainly Syrah, Cabernet, and Carmener. Of course, the percentages and the composition of the wine change every vintage and depending on the climate and how the varieties were that specific year. But what is most important about it is that the essence of the wine and the soul of the wine is always the same. We aim to create the best wine with the better quality grapes and varieties of the place and try to represent what that a specific farm delivered to us.
And so actually we've been seeing a lot more of really great Syrah and other Rhone wines. And I'm curious to hear your opinion as to why does it do so well in in your vineyard specifically? Why is it suited to the terroir and the climate, and maybe across all of Chile as well? Because it's such a long country, but it seems to do well in multiple regions.
Yeah, I would say that and I'm going a little bit back in the history, and I will talk to you about also about the Cabernets and the Cabernet and the most popular Cabernets of Chile, and why and regarding one of your questions, why now in Chile we are producing such as great Syrah or other Rhone varieties instead of also with the Cabernets. and that is why I wanted to go a little bit backward in the history. And at the beginning of the winemaking industry in Chile, I would say that the first valley where wine growers produce wines was Maipo, and Maipo is very well known for Cabernet Sauvignon. So most of the wineries and most of the winemakers grow Cabernet Sauvignons in Maipo. And probably all of us wanted to be in that area because it was quite popular. But with the evolution of the industry and the more knowledge of agricultural farmers and the more knowledge of winemaking teams and in general the evolution of the industry, understanding better the climate of Chile, understanding better the terroirs, the soil's typicity, and in general all that is related to nature, we have discovered that not all the areas were ideally to grow that same variety. And that is why, with the understanding of our farm specifically and understanding the climate and the characteristics that the nature has in that place, we have discovered, and in all the Colchagua region, I would say, that and that has a lot of similarities with the Mediterranean climate, and of course the Rhone varieties can grow in a much better way in that place. So I would say that why is because we are understanding much better the places. We are studying much better about climate, about soils, and everything is getting much more deeply understood.
And I mean, I guess it's partly understanding the soils and the terroir and climate. But do you have an opinion as to whether you can make whether Syrah should be made as a single varietal or in a blend like you make it? And how does it express itself differently?
I think that will depend. Of course, we have if we have the conditions of growing good Syrah, of course, there is a possibility of have good Syrahs in a unique variety in a wine. But like I told you before, what we try to express in a wine, and I can talk only about ourselves. I can talk about other wineries and what they are doing in terms of winemaking. What we aim to do with this wine is trying to have a wine that represents a specific place, and if in that place we have different varieties, of course, they are more than welcome. And of course, there is always an idea of making something more unique as well.
For sure. And especially with being biodynamic, that's a big part of who you are as a winery. Do you think that the biodynamic wine scene is growing in Chile? Are more producers catching on to it? Do you think it's important, or just still a few producers?
Yes, I think that the scene. Well, first of all, I must say that the scene in Chile began a long time ago. In fact, Emiliana was the pioneer and the first winery who started its transformation process was in 1998, so more than 20 years. And for that time, the organic concept and especially the biodynamic concept, which was much more complex to understand it, was something very new. And like all new things, it took time for people and for others to understand it. That they are definitely, and at least this is what we believe, the way to go. Not only because of the quality that we achieve today in our wines, but also because of the positive impact that this kind of agriculture have in the planet and in people. And about the Chilean industry, fortunately, that today there are many who have joined to this trend, which we can no longer refer to it as a trend or something temporary, because we really believe that this is something that is here to stay, and that would only continue to evolve and incorporate more producers and followers around the world. Because at the end, it's quite simple. When somebody asks us why organic or why biodynamic, we answer them with more questions. Why not? Why use chemicals? Why harm the planet? Why put people health in risk? Why not want better quality products? Isn't that makes more sense than farm in a more conventional, traditional, or chemical way? And on the other hand, related to the industry, it is also very important for us to clarify that we believe in certifications. They are very essential for us and should be for everyone, because they allow us, and this is something that have always be part of our DNA, because they allow us to maintain our quality standards, build trust and credibility in the people who choose us, and validate internally our processes. So at the end, certifications show that what we do and our products are real. And especially today, in a world where marketing and communications are powerful tools, and we are seeing a lot of producers, and I'm not talking just about wine, I'm talking about the whole food industry. We see organic, biodynamic, and everything. So our concern when somebody is not into the certification process, that could be something simply for a trend or a commercial interest, rather than doing it for real and in a proper way. We see organic and biodynamic more than a philosophy that teaches us how to do things better in the world, thinking not about just ourselves, also in the planet and others.
Completely. And is it difficult to get the certification or not?
Yes, and that I think it's one of the biggest obstacles of these processes. Besides, it is not cheap. You have to, and all the countries, and this is something that also it's quite difficult. In Emiliana, we have a team specifically that it's in charge of all the certifications for the different markets, because there is no one certification for all the world. So for Brazil, we have to have their own certification. If for the US, another one. For Chile, another one. For Europe, another one. So there are a lot of, during the year, and for China, another one. And as all the world behaves in different ways. So every year they come to us to see how we are doing things, and that is the way that they certificate. So it's something that it's every year, and we have to prove, and we have to show test, and we have to measure everything. They said, okay, we are still organic. That is why I told you before that it's also like a quality control, because every year they came to us and they see how are we doing things, and we can see if we have things that are going better and things that are going worse, so we can fix them.
So do you think it's more difficult for smaller producers? It's more of a barrier?
Yes, I would say that it's a barrier, but at the beginning, always. And that is also one of the reasons we believe that at the end, it's a good barrier in a way, because you have to believe in it. You have to believe in organic. You have to believe in the quality and all the positive impact behind it. And if you believe it, you will be more than happy to cross that obstacles or that barriers.
Just thinking about the future of the wine scene in Chile in general. I mean, we see a lot of great value wines. How do you think, what do you think the next step is for producers in Chile if they want to really make really great wines that can compete with the best in the world?
I think the future of Chile is trying to step away a little bit from the lower cost or the cheap wines. Yeah. So trying to premiumize and really show what we can offer in terms of quality to the world, because we and I really think that Chile has a tremendous potential, and every year we can see how wines, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, we never thought that we were gonna be in the top 100 wines. So after that, after some years and working in a way that we do, we see it. So that is a sign that we can do it, and if we can do it, everybody can do it as well. So yes, one of the things that Chile I think Chile will show the quality in the future, and Chile will be seen as a country of great quality wines, more than probably what the image that Chile has been had in the past years about cheap wines and lower cost. That is from one side. Then from another point of view, and in terms of winemaking, I think I could say that at the end, everything is related to respect as much as you can nature. Work with it and not against it. So I think winemakers must understand where they are, know the different soils in the vineyard, understand the climate in this specific region where they are, trying to go from a wider view to a more specific one, which hillside, which Piedmont, the orientations, which varieties are the varieties that make sense for them, and also to the place to grow. Grapes should be treated in a very delicacy and detailed way to extract their essence and respecting their individuality. And I think if we can mix that with the quality potential that has Chile, I think the future of the winemaking industry and the winemaking of Chile for the world, it's more than amazing.
So I mean, I agree with you that there's tremendous potential in the soils and everything, and if winemakers were to pursue that and get to know their terroir better, they could make really great wines. But do you think a lot of producers are still driven by the market, by making more wines at higher volume and lower cost? Because they have to want to make that step, right? They have to want to make that investment.
Yeah, I agree. And I totally agree with that. But I think that is what is happening right now is that consumers are changing. So the world will start to demand and will start to ask for better quality wines. Probably 10 or 20 years ago, when the world didn't have too much knowledge about it, of course, the lower cost, the cheap wine, the more accessible products were the way to go. But today, and we can see it in the different markets where we are, more and more, and we can see it in a specific way about about what we do in terms of organic. 20 years ago, nobody wanted organic wines. Nobody knew what they were. And now we are growing, and we recently have the best years in the history for us in terms of sales. So at the end, I think, yes, it's gonna be a transition, and that transition will be driven because consumers in the different markets will start to demand this type of wine, better quality, not the cheap wines. And I think the big companies, or bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter, that they are very stick to the lower cost, massive production and everything, will start to understand it and change that model.
Just a couple of final questions.
Of course.
Are you worried about climate change in your region? And do you think being organic and biodynamic will help with that, or does it not?
I cannot say that organic and biodynamic agriculture will save us from the climate crisis. We as in Emiliana, we definitely believe that this is real and this is happening, and we can see it in in different parts of the world, and of course, and we can see it also in our vineyards. But what is more important for us, and I'm going to tell you about a specific example. A couple of years ago, or maybe I think it was last year, we had a frost, and all the region was very affected by it. And that was very impressive for us, because we saw that in our vineyard, of course, it got affected, but it was not so affected as the others. So we think in that way, when we produce organic and biodynamic, and when we work with nature, at the end, our plants, our vines, and the grapes are more resilient to the different impacts that the change of the weather could have on them. Of course, we got affected, but not as much as the others. So I think that is something that when we experienced it, was something very important for us, because it was a proof that what we are doing makes a lot of sense, specifically for what is happening in terms of climate.
Back to Gê. Where does the name come from? I'm just curious.
So Gê comes from the Latin root of earth. And when we create this label and this brand, it was something to honor the earth, because biodynamic and organic are very related to it. So we thought it was a great name that makes a lot of sense, especially of the characteristic of the wine.
I really like that. It's great. And the wine itself.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you. Thank you very much.